Welcome to One Chapter, One Thought. Today's reading is from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 2. When Jesus had come back to Capernaum several days afterwards, it was heard that he was at home. And many were gathered together, so that there was no longer room, not even near the door. And he was speaking the word to them. And they came, bringing him a paralytic carried by 4 men. Being unable to get to him because of the crowd, they removed the roof above him, and when they had dug an opening, they let down the pallet on which the paralytic was lying. And Jesus, seeing their faith, said to the paralytic, "Son, your sins are forgiven." But some of the scribes were sitting there, reasoning in their hearts, "Why does this man speak this way? He is blaspheming. Who can forgive sins but God alone?" Immediately Jesus, aware in his spirit that they were reasoning that way within themselves, said to them, "Why are you reasoning about these things in your hearts? What is easier, to say to the paralytic, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Get up, pick up your pallet, and walk'? But, so that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on the earth to forgive sins, he said to the paralytic, 'I say to you, get up, pick up your pallet, and go home.' And the paralytic got up and immediately picked up the pallet, went out of the sight of everyone. So they were all amazed and were glorifying God, saying, 'We have never seen anything like this.' And he went out again by the seashore, and all the people were coming to him, and he was teaching them. As he passed by, he saw Levi, the son of Alphaeus, sitting in the tax booth, and he said to him, 'Follow me.' And he got up and followed Jesus. And it happened that Jesus was reclining at the table in his house, and many tax collectors and sinners were dining with Jesus and his disciples. For there were many of them, and they were following him. When the scribes of the Pharisees saw that Jesus was eating with sinners and tax collectors, they said to his disciples, 'Why is he eating and drinking with tax collectors and sinners?' And after hearing this, Jesus said to them, 'It is not those who are healthy who need a physician, but those who are sick. I did not come to call the righteous, but sinners.' John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting, and they came and said to Jesus, 'Why do John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast?' And Jesus said to them, 'While the bridegroom is with them, the attendants of the bridegroom cannot fast, can they? So long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast. But the days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and they will fast in that day. No one sews a patch of unshrunken cloth on an old garment. Otherwise the patch pulls away from it, the new and the old, and a worse tear results. No one puts new wine in old wineskins. Otherwise the wine will burst the skins, and the wine is lost, and the skins as well. And no one puts wine into fresh wineskins.' And it happened that while Jesus was passing through the grain fields on the Sabbath, his disciples began to make their way along and were picking heads of grain. And the Pharisees were saying to Jesus, 'Look, why are they doing this? What is not lawful on the Sabbath?' And Jesus said to them, 'Have you never read what David did when he was in need, and he and his companions became hungry? How he entered the house of God in the time of Abiathar the high priest and ate the consecrated bread, which is not lawful for anyone to eat except the priests, and he also gave it to those who were with him?' Jesus said to them, 'The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord, even over the Sabbath.'" Building on yesterday's reading, we see the call of Levi here in chapter 2, verse 14. This call of Levi sets the table for Jesus' interaction with the Pharisees in verses 15 through 17. Jesus is present among sinners and tax collectors, and this offends the religious establishment, the Pharisees. The reason why would have been offensive to the Pharisees is because tax collectors in those days would have often been seen as traitors to the people of Israel. The tax collectors were often Jewish people who had given their lives to work for the Roman Empire, which was dominating the land of Israel at the time. They were vassals under Rome's thumb, and these tax collectors had to take money from their own kinsmen. And so they were often looked down upon. And it's that person, Levi, who's a tax collector, it's that person that Jesus calls to be his disciple. No one is beyond the grace of God, the grace of Jesus. This offends the sensibilities of the religious establishment because they base everything on outward appearances. They can't get over the fact that Jesus would have a presence among sinners. What I find also interesting here is that Jesus' presence among people does not necessarily mean affirmation. In verse 17, Jesus says that he calls not the self-righteous, but sinners. He's calling these people to himself. I don't think this means that Jesus is cool with people exploiting others, manipulating others, or doing bad things. But I think it does show Jesus' love, that he wants to reach all kinds of people. No one is beyond the grace of God. And I guess the question for us today as Jesus' disciples is this: are we amongst those that we might consider sinners? Do we have a presence there? Or are we a little bit too much like the religious establishment of Jesus' day, where we look at the outward appearances and want people to clean up their lives before coming to Jesus? But that's not the way of Jesus. Jesus goes to them, and he initiates with them and has a presence among them. Do we?